Hi, it's Elaine, and this is Tales of an Entrepreneur, where we discover not only what entrepreneurs do, but why they do it. Our stories can be our superpower. So, this season, I will delve further into the talent, passion, resilience, and determination that often sits behind a successful small business. Life can throw us curveballs. Events and experiences happen which shape us and our businesses. We all face hard times, and we will discover what they were, how they got through it, and the knowledge they applied to their highly successful business. So let's get started with my first guest for the series, and I'm so excited to get into this conversation. Today's guest is Nicky Pattinson, an absolute powerhouse of a lady and one of the top-rated corporate speakers. She's giving inspiration and identity for women over 40 on an international stage. She is a renowned speaker with the unique ability to be empathetic and build rapport and leaving a lasting positive impression long after she has left the room. Nicky is passionate about empowering women over 40 to be seen, confident, respected, and in control of their destinies. In Nicky's words, you have to understand where you've been to plan where you're going to. So let's chat more to Nicky Patterson. Nicky, hello, a huge welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, and thanks for having me. I've right looked forward to it. But was that really me you were talking about?
It
Was
was.
that really me that you were describing? And that's quite a thing, isn't it? Because I'm still that little shop assistant that started working Clark's shoes at 16,
Yeah.
and I will always be her. And it's really funny. Somebody said to me the other day, when you're doing a speaking event, how do you feel just before you go on? And I said, it's a strange one, but when people say nice things about you, we can't always accept it.
No.
And it makes me get a bit emotional. I'd much rather somebody say, although you couldn't, she's a bit of a pillock, but she's all we could get this morning. So step this way, Nikki.
The guests,
Thank you.
the guests will know this series. Was there anything that I missed, Nicky? Is there anything else that you'd want to add into that little intro?
No, well, no, yes, there is. I wrote something on a Facebook post on Saturday, and I said, above everything, I just hope I've become a decent person. I just hope that I've made people proud because I've become a decent person. And isn't that the thing these days? We meet people who disappoint us,
Yeah,
who only think of themselves, who will do anything to 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 get what they want. And I really thought about that this last few days. It's kind of topical. But if you become a decent person, no matter what has happened to you, then you've got something to be proud of, and just be glad that you're you and those people are them, because they probably dream of being decent but don't know how to do it.
yeah, I
Bit
couldn't
off
agree more.
topic, but we've just been. I was talking on the Greater Later group last night. We were just talking about exactly that, and isn't that the thing?
It is the thing. It is the thing. Absolutely. I read that post actually and I resonated with it so much. It was really beautifully written. And so
Ah,
moving
thank you.
moving quite nicely onto the later greater. So I have done your greater later course, and at the time I was completely lost and needed something in my life. And then you popped into my inbox like a guardian angel in heels and red lippy. And I joined your course, and it really was one of the most incredible things I've ever done. It really was a fantastic course. So what was your inspiration behind working with women over 40 and running those courses?
Does it work other way around, that it finds you? That whatever it is that you do in life, if it's your purpose and it's meant, you meet people that look for something all their life, you become it and it finds you. So very potted. I had COVID, thought I was dying. Everybody seemed to be. I'm not making a joke of that. It's horrific.
Yeah.
Um, and so I just gave everything I owned to my son. I gave him all the £2.30 I had, because I just thought that'll sweeten up love. Let's just give it you now. And then I didn't freaking die, which thank God, but bit of a surprise. But I did get long COVID, and that is no joke. It just took me out for 14 months. And all that time, I started to think about things and I started to recreate in a little book who I would become at the end of it. And I've been a big retail speaker. I've been a big sales speaker. I've done the big projects in Tesco and big law firms, all these places. But I knew that I was going to come back as something slightly different. So I started to write in this little book. I am, I do, I have, I travel the world, I help. And then I got asked by a barrister in Manchester to speak to 10 lady lawyers online. And I took everything that I'd learned over the years, modified it, and reapplied it for these women between the ages of, I think it was 44 and 69. Anyway, in the 40s and 60s. And everything I knew, I put into like concepts of how they could be seen, related to, take no shit, be charismatic, and be the only person in the room that anybody listened to.
Yeah.
So I put it all together and I thought, right, I'll be done in an hour and a half. 2 3/4 hours later, they were still asking questions. I was going, I've got to go to bed, lasses. But the emails I got after Elaine just spoke to me soul. It had changed so many things for so many people. So I thought, right, Nicky, if it works for these people, if I modify it again, then I can make it work for any woman over 40. Because, you know, this that we're invisible and that we've got no use here in the world and that we should go off and make a chuffing trifle and start reading romantic not what bollocks. That's yesterday. Today,
Yes.
it's just not true. We live in a completely different society.
Yeah.
And it's up to us to decide where our place is, not the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so how many cohorts have you run now? You've done
Uh,
quite a few?
we're halfway through 11 and I've
Wow.
fast track it now, so I do it in a month. Already. And look, I just want to say, you said it helped you. You helped yourself. All I do is put people in right direction. I talk about things that you possibly wouldn't think about, but when you go, oh yeah, of course. And last night we'd only done 2 weeks and we had 2 people in there who everything had changed for. Everything had changed for. And so that's number 11. Now I've decided if I can do that, or I can help people do that for themselves, then never mind everything else. I've got to make that a massive global movement
Yeah.
because I think the world is ready for it. And if I
Yes.
could just finish that little piece there by saying, can I just tell you, it's not about being a goddess. You know, we're all freaking goddesses. I'm sorry. It's not about wearing shiny tights and blue eyeliner and you'll wake up and your world will be different. It chuffing won't. You'll be just same. It's just that you'll have shiny tights on and blue eyeliner. It's how you navigate the world, your identity, how you tell the world who you are.
Yeah.
And I've just created 5 concepts, that we talk about and put that into identity. And literally, people who have been bullied at work, people who think that they've been ignored, overlooked, lost the confidence, they've literally just gone, I won't even like this at 30. Now that's a gift in life. And it's a God-given gift. And I say thank you every day because it's never the money. It's who it makes you become. And that made me become somebody that I'm actually quite proud of. And I can look at you and say, I'm really proud of what I do with those people. So yeah, we're on number
Absolutely.
11. Number 12's out in January. We've got a wait list going if anybody's interested.
Hey. I have no doubt it'll sell out in minutes. It really is a fantastic, fantastic course, Nikki. Well done you.
Thank you.
This podcast delves into the twists and turns life throws at us and how those experiences shape us and the unique talents that we can offer the world. So, for us to get an idea of where you've been and how life has changed you, has there ever been a life changing event that has happened to you that you'd like to share with us today?
Oh, how many hours have you got?
A few.
Um, there's been many. Uh, right, we start at the beginning. It's what makes you you.
It
And
is.
we always see things as completely negative, but if we look back, it gave you a gift that you wouldn't otherwise have had. So, I'm a farmer's daughter, that's why I'm vegan. Absolutely committed to the vegan life. Can't hurt anything ever because of what I saw as a child, and that did make me different. I'm not super sensitive. I've just got empathy with creatures that, have terrible things happen to them at
Yeah.
our behest. So, yeah, there were one or two moments there. But both my parents suffered depression. Now, it was not a thing in those days. So I'd come home on a night and I was very young and I remember walking through the door and I thought, right, what's happening here? I had to negotiate the situation. Can I put telly on? Can I
Yeah.
speak? Can I get something to eat? If I say something, will World War III erupt? They used to argue and argue over money all the time, which is another thing I want to talk to you about as well. Really
Okay.
important how we think about money. So all the time I lived in this on a knife edge of something's going to erupt because these two are both off their head today. Now, had that been today, they would probably both have had some kind of antidepressants or something. But I think a lot of farmers, because they spent so much time alone, I think a lot of farmers suffer depression, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I were always brought up, marry the rich man, marry the rich man, marry the rich man, don't bother with anybody that's poor. And my mother, God bless that woman, but when people came to the door, she would say, are you from the council estate or from a single parent family or where do you live? And if they didn't give an answer that she liked, she'd go, we don't have your type round here. So was her picture, her identity. She'd come from nothing. So was her identity that she couldn't even associate. And God bless her, I'm not whinging about her because she made me who I am. So she gave me this, and thank you for it, Blanche. She gave me this, I can't stand any kind of injustice. And you start to look back at your life and see, I wanted to elevate people that felt bad about themselves.
Yeah.
Anyway, I married John. Within 6 weeks, I knew I was going to marry him the second I met him. But we got a market stall together. And, there's things in your life that if you never do what else again, you're proud of it. We're doing a grand a week in Huddersfield Market. We called it Take the Biscuit. We created something that was so profound and magnetic that we took that market stall from £1,000 a week to 2 million a year 30
Wow.
years ago. 30 years ago. We were 10% more expensive than anybody else. And a little sign as to where I were going. We employed older women. And I used to do the interviewing. And I remember one woman, she totally changed everything for me because I realized it wasn't the money. A pair of Prada shoes and a Gucci handbag won't make you feel any better it won't make a difference to you. You'd just be an unhappy bird with fancy shoes and a fancy handbag. This lady came and I interviewed her for this job. I won't say her name. And I never forget because she had one of them pink acrylic cheap jumpers on, not being nasty, bright orange foundation cream. And she was that nervous that it started to sweat down her neck into this
Oh.
jumper. And she sat there and she's going, I never forget this woman. I thank God every day for her. She changed my life. And she's checking and she's going, I know you won't want me, love. I know you won't want me. I'm in a bad marriage and I'm told I'm rubbish every day and the kids have left home and I just thought, well, I'll give it a go. I'll try and get this job, but I know you won't want me, love. And I'm sat listening to this lady and I'm watching her and I'm just seeing a soul. And on the Monday, she changed my life. She was a picture of the future. So I rang up and I said, right, it's Nicky from Take the Biscuit. Oh, it's all right, love. Thanks for ringing me to tell me I haven't got it. I goes, I think you don't, God, gets me every time. I think you don't quite understand. I interviewed 22 people over that week. They were all fabulous. but you've got a heart that is bigger than Yorkshire. And I'd be the proudest, most happy woman if you turned up and started work for me on Monday. And there was a half pause, Elaine, as she started to cry on the end of the phone. And I never forgot her, and I never forgot it. And when I look back, what we did with her, within weeks, she'd left him, started a new life. She was a different person. Isn't it funny how that past, it was my future. So I
Yes.
thank God for that lady. And do you know what? She turned out to be bloody brilliant. She really did. So yeah, there I was, the girl that everybody wanted to be. I had a beautiful little boy, my Jackson, the little Italian boy. My mother were half Italian. Um, and he was a little Italian boy. He was absolutely beautiful. But the minute he put him in my arms, I knew something wasn't quite right. And just knew that something didn't quite add up. And November the 2nd, 1989, and yesterday, I'd had a premonition night before. Um, and that morning, things were different. I
Yeah.
knew I had to go to work at market store, but I knew things were different. And they were only 4 months and 2 days, but he never took his eyes off me. And I actually turned and said, "What is it with you today? You're staring at mummy. What is it?" I dropped him off at nursery, and as I left, I glanced, and he was sat on this one that was on the nursery's knee. He was taking his hat off, and he was staring, and I had a voice in my head that said, "Go back and get him, don't leave him." And I thought, oh, all mums think that. Of course he's all right. 30 minutes to one, I took a call that had totally changed my life. And I knew what it was when I heard the phone ringing. They'd put my little boy it was quite a warm day, although it was November, and they'd put him upstairs in a travel cot and left him to scream. And when they went upstairs to get him up for his dinner at 1:45, he was dead. And you're probably thinking, oh, wow, why does she tell people that? You're not going to understand this, I'm sure, but it's another thing that made me, because I
Yeah.
realised I actually felt my soul crack. I could hear this woman screaming, and I didn't know who it was. But then the enormity of what I'd heard went in me, and my legs had gone in,
Yeah.
and I remember all of that. But I'll tell you what I learned, because I felt my soul go. I realised we were all souls, and I never saw them customers at markets the same way again, and I've never seen anybody in the same way again. It's like it gave me a gift that when I do a one-to-one with people, I can see right through them. And you might smile at that. I'm no Doris Stokes, but I see people differently, and it gave me a gift. And actually, if I look back, that's kind of been the fortune. So yeah, I lost my son, then my mum died, which is hard when you don't have a great relationship with your parents. You
Yeah.
know, I don't know what it's like when people go, "I miss my mum so much on Mother's Day." And I'm saying it, you might think I'm horrible. People will not like the fact that I'm saying it, but this is how I felt. And it's the truth. So judge me if you want. But when people talk about Mother's Day, I actually don't get it, because I never had that. And God bless her. You know, I hope she's proud of me now. I really do. My dad died, and then let's just say, how can I phrase this? There were no money. There were £250,000 worth of debt with my name on it.
Okay.
Um, and there were no husband either. Funny all that, innit? So there I was. By that time, my second son, who has done very well for himself, I'm very proud of him. He's a fine, fine man. Um, yeah, I was left with what an estate, which would have been worth about 5 million now. Um, creditors wanting that money. So my dad died at 2 minutes to midnight on the Thursday. By dinner time on the Friday, I'd got every single one of them calling and knocking on the door saying, "You're the director of that business, so we're having it." And
Right.
I don't know if I went to pieces. If I didn't, I might have handled it differently now. But I remember I remember it took me 4 years, and then I realised I couldn't. Everything went wrong. We got builders in that messed up just everything. I won't bore you with it. But I walked out of the drive with a a young lad later, a couple of years later, and I were holding his hand. And I just
Okay.
looked down at him and said, I promise you, I will put it right. And I've spent my life trying to put it right. Think I have now. But again, you might think that's a sad story. It made me become a somebody because it gave me a gift that I didn't have. And it gave me a need to be someone and do something in this world and get myself back up there that I wouldn't otherwise have had. I'd have been
Yeah.
sunbirding Army Nichols with a gold belt and gold shoes on, having champagne on a dinner time. What chuffing good is that to anybody? So, although it sounds like a sad story, it's actually not.
And
Gosh,
that's an
I'm really
incredible
happy
point
now.
of view to have, Nikki. I mean, I've heard you tell this story a few times now. I've heard you speak, and every time just the hairs stand up on the back of my neck. It's just unimaginable, unimaginable for something like that to happen, especially as a mother. You just can't even comprehend it. And so, like, the immediate instance, and you just had this, sounds like just a series of events where everything was just falling apart. I mean, how did you take those first steps forward? And was there anyone around you that stood out, that kind of helped you, or were you kind of a solo
Lots
journey?
of, yeah, lots of people around me.
Mm.
I only just found out a year ago who it was that put the food parcels on step.
Oh, right.
And isn't that amazing? I were out having my dinner with a few friends from home first, and one of them said, I was talking about, I don't never have found out who it was that did that. And one lady, if you listen to this, you'll know it's you. She just goes, it was me. Do
Oh,
you know what? That just gets me. It gets me. It really does. People's kindness. Right, I'll tell you what happened. This is what happened. I was like a freaking mentalist, Elaine. I was like some mentalist Kate Bush going over moors of home first. And we'd rescued this dog, our Walter, off at streets. And Walter, well, we used to walk literally 8, 9 miles during the day. And, that dog, our Walter, it might have been thin when we got him, but he were only dogging home first, actually trying to throw himself back out onto the streets because poor sod. I'll tell you what I did. I knew I had to recreate myself, and again, this has become my thing. So
yeah,
I got a little notebook and I started to write in because I couldn't stay in the position that I were in, and I didn't know how to get out of it. So I got a notebook and I started to write everything. I'm grief stricken. I'm shocked. I think the betrayal of our trust, that certain people just saw it as an opportunity to
yeah,
take what we had, that hurt as much as anything because that was a choice.
yeah,
So I started to write all this stuff, how I felt about the betrayal and how lonely I felt and the grief. And then I started to tear it up, put it in a little bonfire, put a bit of incense on it. It sounds all crazy, but you try it. And then I'd just set fire to it, watch it all go up in the embers. And I just go clear, release, dissolve, clear, release, dissolve, clear, release, dissolve. Then I'd get another sheet of paper and I'd write out what I wanted to be. And I promise you this is the truth. Anybody that knows me will know this is the truth. One night, got this little piece of paper, and I always had a think. We had when we had the market stalls, I had the cars, I had the clothes, but at this point, I'd sold every bloody handbag just, to go to the supermarket. But I got a thing about going on planes to work and driving a BMW. So I wrote, um, I drive a BMW, it's got a personalised number plate. I'm the number one in the country at what I do. I didn't know what that were going to be. We live in a house. The bailiffs were always coming to where we were. And I had a thing, and I still do, about being somewhere where the bailiffs don't know if you're in or out. Isn't that crazy? Some things never leave you.
no,
And I wrote all these things, and I put it, I visualized it, and I put it in a little book. When we moved to our next house, it dropped out, and he read it, and he just goes, Mummy, this is your life. Oh, and I'd also said I wanted to earn 25 grand a year, which were a fortune to me at that time.
yeah,
Long story short, chance meetings. I ended up getting a job at a global agency. I'd worked for another agency, propaganda before that, did £250,000 quid into 6 weeks, and then 1 million in a year, which was a lot of money. Then, long story, chance things happened. I ended up at the global agency. I sat down with them. They said, we're starting you on 25 grand a year. We had got you a Toyota Celica, blah, blah, but actually we've got you a black BMW. It's A5 TTK. That's your plate. I did become one of the top people, if the not top new business person for the design agencies in this country. Not know anything about design, just modifying what I'd learned on the markets and reapplying it to cold calling and meeting people. At the house that we moved to, you couldn't tell if we were in or out. And I've just moved to a flat. I've rented that out and moved to this flat. You can't tell if I'm in or out either. And I did fly to work all the time. Italy, New York. I flew all over. So everything that I wrote down came true. So I'm going to say to you again, I didn't chase it. I became it, and it happened. And that's a lot of what I talk about, even in retail. It's so powerful. I worked for and a bit off topic, but I want to hammer on the point that this is not just about me telling you, oh, I've done right well, because I have fallen on my arse so many times. I can't tell you, including when I had long COVID, but I've always got myself back up again. And that's one of the ways that I've done it. But I went to work for a 5-site hotel group. And I said, right, we're going to put this is a couple of years ago now, so we're going to put £500,000 on in add-on sales books. And I showed them just how to do it. And I got these little pads printed off for them. And at the bottom, almost subliminally, bottom right-hand corner, in tiny writing, it said 500k.
Yeah.
Now, every time they wrote down what they'd sold, they saw 500k. How much did we do in add-on sales in a year? 503,264 pence.
Yes.
It is like a miracle. So I'm talking about identity, and things shift you. You think that things are going horrific, but actually, if we can just turn that round and say, maybe they are moving you to be the person that you need to be to do what you came to this planet this time to do. I've gone on a bit, I'm sorry, but
absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
I live it every day. So when I talk about it, and I see other people live it every day, so when I talk about it, I do tend to hit you with both barrels. I'm very sorry. Put out what you don't like.
It's incredible. It really is incredible. And so, Nicky, you kind of touched on points about, these different life events, how they've kind of shaped you and the steps that you made to try and get over that. But how did it change your work and your business life and what you did after that?
Well, after losing everything, you'd think it had made me save, but it didn't. It just made me spend more.
Okay.
Because I always believe that there's more money coming. So yeah, we've had a great life. We've had hardship, but we've had a great life. How did it change me? Well, it's never been about the brass for me. People might look and think that I've been, I haven't. It's never been about the brass. All right, let me say it as it is. My job gives me somewhere to put my heart.
Yes.
And I thank every single person that trusts me for that and ever has. And even, not just the It's Greater Later, but I did a job for Superdrug, actually. And there were 2 audiences, I think about 500 each. And the messages that I got back from that, and people literally went and sold more perfume and loyalty cards the second they got back to the station the day after I was getting messages. I only did an hour. But when I got those messages and everybody was telling me their stories, the single parents, I had somewhere to put my heart then, because I could have a conversation with them because we both understood each other. And then, you don't have to have had tragedy in your life, don't get me wrong. But then when I got these people messaging me going, I didn't have any confidence in what I did, and I've just gone back and I've done this and I've done that, that gives me somewhere to put my heart. Now, you may not understand anybody listening, because you'll probably think, well, you know what? It'd be great, wouldn't it? Whatever you're turning over, whatever money you're making, isn't that much? No, no, because I could have won the bloody pools, couldn't I?
You
You
could.
know, I could have won the pools, but it would never have given me what my job, my experience, and my life has given me. No, but nothing could ever have given me so much joy, apart from my boys, of
Yes,
course.
absolutely. And I think often that we doubt ourselves, don't we? We don't know what we're capable of. I mean, did you surprise yourself if you look back on your resilience and your ability to get back up, no matter how many times you've been knocked down?
You're probably expecting me to say yes, but I've got to say no.
Okay.
No, because I always knew who I was. I
Yeah.
always knew who I was. And I always knew that I would be all right and the best is yet to come. Because I've always known that in my 60s, whatever I was here to do would expand massively. So, no, I've got to say no. That's identity though, innit?
It
We talk about
is.
that a lot. That's how you see yourself. And those thoughts, are they yours or did they come from, inverted commas, a well-wisher telling you that you couldn't do this or you couldn't do
Yeah.
that? Are they your thoughts or are they projected thoughts from somebody who either wants to keep you where you are because that's the only thing that can deal with it, or just don't have a bigger picture themselves and it's just easier if everything's kept small because then you don't have to try. I think in life, Elaine, we've got to work out what's real and what's not chuffing real.
Yeah.
And three-quarters of the thoughts that we have and the identity that we set up for ourselves isn't us. It's set up by somebody else. And that's one of the first things that we do when it's greater later. That's week one. What is real? Who are you? Where are you going? When you know the answer to those questions, how do you get the world to give you what you see?
Yes. Yes. Okay. So, Nikki, in all you've experienced and where you are now and your incredible journey, do you have one piece of advice to share with us?
Yes, find out who you are, be that person, and don't let anybody tell you that you can't be. Because if you're a good person, that's about them and not you.
Hear, hear. Well said. Thank you. And so, where do people find out about your Greater Later and other courses that you've got going on at the minute?
Right. Well, we're redoing the website at the minute, but anybody can email me at nicky@nickipattinson.com.
Okay.
We're rehashing the Facebook. It's Attire. It's Nicky on Insta. I don't do much. It's Nicky Pattinson on TikTok. We'll do more there. But you know what? Just email me. It's greater later thing, and I've got to explain. You don't see it splashed everywhere. It's a bit of a closed shop
Yeah.
and I don't parade people. So you won't see loads of people going, oh, here's a film of me saying go on it because it's such a private thing and it fills out. So email me on nicky@nickipattinson.com. Email, I'll tell you what's coming up, nicky@nickipattinson.com.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nikki. Nikki, I cannot thank you enough. It's been an absolute highlight of my podcast journey so far having you on today. So thank
Oh,
you
I
so
can't
much for your
believe that.
time.
Thank you.